In this episode, I bring on a guest, Nickie Ping from LifeWave Stem Cell Activator patches. Due to my recent shoulder injury of a slap tear, I wanted to reach out to her and get her on my show because of selfishly trying to repair my own issue. But what I didn't know is the reason Nickie got into this business and it started finding out that she had stage 4 lung cancer and what she did using these patches to help her get through that. This is a very exciting episode, and these patches have all different ways that can help aid in the healing process of your body for many different issues. Quick disclaimer, LifeWave patches are not used to treat or cure any condition. These are a wellness product. Let's begin. Real quick, is losing weight after 40 while still enjoying your social life a challenge? Well, you're not alone, because that's pretty much everybody. On the Over 40 Fitness Hacks podcast, I share insights from my 15 plus years as a personal trainer and gym owner, helping people like you strike the right balance. For those ready to take action, please sign up for my online personal training program on my website or through the link in the show notes. Together, we'll design a plan that fits your lifestyle and helps you achieve your goals without sacrificing the fun. And remember, everyone is different. We will find a program that works for you. So thank you for coming on my show, Nickie and Dr. Lisa. We wanted to talk about LifeWave stem cell activating patches. I've wanted to get you on my show for a while, and recently I injured my left shoulder and gave myself a nice little slap tear. So now I'm really excited to talk to you about the science behind this because I'm probably going to end up buying some of these products. I can't stay injured. That's the whole thing of being over 40. You got to nip this in the bud, take care of it. And there's so many great products out there that won't even come to light for the next 10 years if you're waiting for like the FDA process. So I love meeting people in the health and wellness field. I'll turn it over to you and just tell us your story. Tell us how you got into LifeWave, just a little general background of what the products are used for and how it came about.
All right. Well, it's almost exactly 2 years ago. It was August 29th, 2022. I was registering my son for first grade at his new school, and I'd had a biopsy done on a lump I found in my neck right here. That was my only symptom. Went to my first doctor, just a general doctor. He said it was muscle related, which didn't make sense to me. So I dug deeper with my ENT, and she ordered all the tests to see what was going on internally. After a couple weeks of tests and everything, they discovered I had stage 4 lung cancer. 0 symptoms. I could literally run a marathon, never felt anything, like all the symptoms that you would normally feel of something going on inside your body. And they kept asking me, how do I feel? How do I feel? And I was getting angry because it sounded like they wanted me to feel something, knowing what they physically saw on my PET scan, which was about 27 tumors that they could count through my neck, my esophagus, and my lungs, and still felt nothing. Blood work showed nothing. I even went to an infectious disease doctor. Nothing shows in my blood work. And a lot of times cancer doesn't show up in your blood work.
So it's too late, right?
Yeah. And it's like, you don't feel anything. And that's why things are able to thrive. So I was following the normal protocol when it comes to Western medicine and doing all the testing and cell testing to see which therapies I qualified for. And I was praying the whole time I qualified for immunotherapy because I didn't want to go straight to chemo. I know it's decimating every healthy cell in your body as well. When I've always been taught to eat healthy, do things good for your body. And that's the way I've always lived. So I immediately started doing some oxygen therapy, PEMF, frequency therapy. My diet was absolutely 0 sugar, including fruit, very strict because when you dive into it, you realize that sugar feeds cancer. And so the day I was finding out which treatment I was qualifying for, it was either going to be an infusion or a pill form at home for immunotherapy. It was the infusion form. It was only a 30-minute infusion. They said I would feel absolutely nothing because I was so healthy, and this type of immunotherapy strengthens your strong cells to fight off the bad cells. I was like, sweet, sign me up. If you said this is what I'm going to feel or not feel, I should say. So they infused me based on test results, and 5 days after the infusion, I started developing a cough, which I don't get coughs. It's not my thing. I was always a sinus. That's why I had an ENT. And it just took me down. I couldn't sleep for almost 2 months. Every time I lay down, I would choke. They thought I was just sick because my son had a runny nose. And it just didn't add up in my head, like why I was feeling this way. And I found out about 2 days before my 3-week follow-up, and them knowing how sick I was and how miserable I was, that they had given me the wrong drug because they didn't have all of my test results in. There was a couple that said inconclusive. And later I find out these test results are actually verified through blood work, not the biopsy. And they were verifying them through the biopsy. And I had the top doctors over at the famous hospital in Newport. And I just was very angry that they were so quick to infuse me just because of what they saw inside, even though I felt completely fine. And so at that point, my liver enzymes were off the chart. And so they want to give you steroids, get all that down. And I just don't do good on those types of meds. So I decided to do the natural route with food. So within 5 days, I got my liver enzymes back down to normal. I'm not very good at following doctor's orders, especially where they're like, oh, it'll make you feel great. And that's not what steroids do. It makes you feel like you have electricity running through your body. They're not fun. So I immediately fired my first doctor because that's something that no one should go through. And I hope they learn as they treat it as a medical practice. They're always learning. And I appreciate that about it. I started working with a new doctor in oncology as well. And he wasn't pushing the drugs. So I was like, great. So I was diving more into things to support my body. And at the time when I was doing oxygen therapy, I was also doing PEMF, which is a company called Beamer, where you lay on a mat and opens up your microvessels. And that's how we heal when we get more blood flow. The lady I ended up renting the mat from, because I wanted to do it twice a day like you're supposed to, she introduced me to these. And at the time I walk in coughing because I could not control this cough. She saw how miserable, how tired I was, gave me some cough drops from doTERRA, which are amazing. And she's like, I feel like you need to try these. And for me, if you say this is going to make me feel better, put them all over my body. I feel like when people come to me, they're either on their first result because they don't want to do any meds or on their last result. They're like, nothing's work, epidural, cortisone, whatever it baby is going on, nothing's working. So I started using these. I was on a protocol of a few of them because obviously my body was really toxic from these medications. And cancer in itself is toxic inside your body. I didn't tell my husband I was using them because guys tend to be a little skeptical when it comes to these modalities. It takes them a minute to get on board. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to use them. I got the protocol. I put them on. Day 3, I woke up 5 a.m. I hadn't worked out in a couple months and I work out almost every day. Woke up, cleaned my garage up, worked out. So much energy. All the heat left my body. I was putting ice packs all over my body because I was so inflamed from this medication. I felt like there was a fire inside my body. I just woke up and just everything left and I had insane amount of energy. And normally I do, but this was next level. And at this point, I had been off coffee for 2 months as well. So I'm almost at 2 years of no coffee.
Wow. And
Because
these were the LifeWave patches you're referring to?
yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah. So these, yeah.
Not the Beamer. This was
No.
after taking the patches.
Yeah. So Beamer and LifeWave are like almost a perfect synergy because you're elevating your dormant stem cells and then you're circulating them through your body. So I was already doing Beamer for a couple of months at that point with part of this protocol that this place I was doing oxygen on to circulate and everything like that. We know that circulation is good for our body overall. But when these dormant stem cells started elevating on day 3, some people feel it within an hour. Some people feel it a week or 2. We all had this different way of elevating and healing. So mine was day 3. I woke up, just had the same amount of energy. My husband even said, you are in a better mood. Yeah, I slept great. I have energy. I just felt amazing. I still didn't tell him because I didn't want him to like boo-hoo it and be negative. I told him, I think on day 5 or 6, because I can't keep secrets from him. We're already in a stressful state of what's going on with me. So I told him and he's like, well, how much are they? And I told him, he's like, oh, that's fine. If they're making you feel better, that's fine. It literally costs less than a cup of coffee a day to feel amazing. So I started diving into more of the science because I didn't fully understand what they were doing. I just trusted Suzanne, who's my guardian angel that I found. And then I went to her, asked her about it more because when I'm doing something, especially when it comes to healing for my body, I do a lot of research. She said these are completely non-transdermal, and they are. They've been tested by the NFL, the Olympic Committee, the Navy, which they were first trialed on over 20 years ago. So I just went with it. And the only thing you need to do is hydrate. So when I started diving into it, I go, now I know why I'm feeling so amazing. And knowing what each of these patches do, because they all elevate a different peptide that is already naturally occurring in our body. And these peptides are what our body needs to heal and feel great or detox or elevate. All of these different kind of patches do different types of things, different that are in our body. Peptides are huge right now. There's places that just do infusions of peptides. The best thing about LifeWave is your own peptides are in your body that have gone dormant.
Yeah.
So you're not getting things secondhand or things from a lab or anything like that, because we know stem cells is at the forefront of a lot of trials right now. I have a type 1 daughter. And all of the studies go back to stem cells.
Yeah. And that's great because the FDA, what was it, last year or the year before, banned like all the good ones.
Yeah.
And now everyone's left with nothing unless they go on the
Go
black
to
market or
Mexico.
something. So this
Yeah.
is an alternative. You already have a menu. This is how you wake them up.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So people go to Mexico or they go to Europe to get stem cell injections. They're not tested by third parties. You could take on someone else's DNA that can turn into cancer, I've heard. So it's scary, but some people that get to that desperate thing and they're very expensive. I mean, I've heard stories, people like, oh, it's 5 grand, 20 grand. And the thing with stem cells is by the time we're 35, half of them have gone dormant and died off. So that's why we start to get wrinkles. That's why we start to get gray hair. We're losing that youthfulness about us. So this is all about reverse aging. And the technology involved with it is just our skin, our heat from our body activating these patches.
So did the patches do anything to help you with your stage 4 lung
Yep.
tumors or lung cancer?
Yeah. So what it works with medical insurance, they can only approve a scan every 3 months
Hmm.
because they're very expensive. Before insurance, they're almost 30 grand. My portion after that is $2,000. And the infusions I was on, each infusion was $76,000. And I was supposed to be doing this every 3 weeks for a minimum of 1.5, 2 years. That's why Big Pharma makes so much money. So I pushed to get my scan done under the calendar year because I'd already met my deductible. So I had my second scan run the end of December 30th, I believe, and it showed no more cancer. I wasn't told this at the time. I saw what my first scan looked like, and then I saw what my second scan looked like after I had to request the images, and it was black. There was nothing there. Where the first one, I could send you images over. You can see them all lit up, and that's how they count them and where they are and how many that they count per se. I was told they don't have time to count them all, which kind of irks me a
Yeah.
little bit. So I was clear. But when it comes to cancer and remission, you're basically in pre-remission. And then they do another follow-up scan 3 to 4 months later, and then that confirms remission. So I had that one done in December. Didn't really know that I was in pre-remission. It's just like, oh, everything looks good here. And I flat out asked my second doctor, I go, what does remission look like? And he's like, oh, we're not quite there yet. And I'm like, wasn't really an answer, scooting around it. But then my follow-up one in beginning of April of 23, so a little over a year ago, I literally had to ask him flat out, am I in remission? Because I wasn't on any drug therapies. I was just doing what I was doing, eating healthy, patching, doing my beamer, still doing oxygen, doing things that I know are done at natural cancer centers, but doing it a lot at home. And then he finally said it. And after that, he still wanted to order additional testing that I'd already had done. I don't know why. He didn't know my file at that point, but he's like, oh, we should probably get an MRI of your brain. I'm like, I already had that done. Oh, we should probably do this blood test. I'm like, you told me you didn't believe in that blood test. It was getting comical at a sense that
Yeah.
this is oncology, one of the most serious practices in medicine. And they're just not doing their job. I just got treated like a number. I just feel like there's too many patients. There's too much pressure on them to see so many patients. So I ended up firing my second oncologist. Now I just work with a pulmonologist who is amazing and supports everything I'm doing, knows about everything I'm doing before I even told her outside of that big hospital. And I've never turned back. I've had 3 clear scans. I have another follow-up in October because now they're just annual. Once you get cleared after the 3 months and then the 5 months and 6 months, then they're annual. And they're like, okay, if you feel anything, let us know. And I've only felt great.
Wow. What do you think from the patches and awakening all the stem cells and peptides in your body? How did that help clear out the cancer cells? I'm a little confused on that part.
So stem cells, the science behind stem cells is they have the ability to turn into any cell our body needs to heal. So with cancer cells, they're oxidated cells, basically, that were able to divide and thrive. So when you have all these healthy stem cells fighting them off, they're not able to thrive anymore. They need to be able to feed off of something and grow off of something. But when you have all these healthy cells fighting them, same concept as immunotherapy, but in a non-drug form.
Yeah.
I mean, they use these at natural cancer centers. And anything we can do to basically boost our body's ability to heal itself. I mean, there's millions of stories about people healing themselves with cancer with zero medication. I mean, it blows your mind. You're not going to see it
Yeah.
on commercial.
And I'm sure all the stuff that you did to supplement with that too, using the beamer, healthy lifestyle, cutting down the sugar, because whether or not you want to keep that for the rest of your life, that's cancer thrives on sugar. Everyone knows that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff combined just gave you the best chances. So, you know,
Yeah. I mean, I know people that didn't do all that and just this. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So it's like I can only take my experience and what I was doing, but I'm just hardcore that way. You say this is going to help. Yeah, I can cut sugar out of my diet. No problem. That's just mind power.
Yeah.
And when you have your mind in the right place, your body can really do anything it needs to do. whether it be meditation you need or prayer. I did a lot of praying in the shower because it's the only time I have away from my kids. But I mean, just stories I've introduced to other people with cancer as well and how they felt and how they healed. And they use these at natural cancer centers. Or I've heard, I mean, they do live interviews with LifeWave 3 times a week. A lot of cancer ones in there. People
Yeah.
are like, I'm not doing the drugs. I'm just going to do this.
Yeah, that's great because I preach on my show all the time. You got to take health into your own hands. You can't just
Mhm.
be given what we have at this time that's approved. There's
Right.
so many things. And
Yeah.
if you want to be on the last end of the list on that 15 years later, when it finally does get approved, you could have been using this stuff the whole time. So do what works for you. And like you said, find people that vibe with you and you always get some second opinions. So that's
Mhm.
great.